So welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology for the 16th of September. My name is Stuart Lawler and my colleague Carl Braley is with us as always. We're delighted to be back for another session. Today we're rerunning our Google Goodness session. If you were with us 2 weeks ago, you'll know that we were plagued with all sorts of technical glitches. It also happened to be the first day that Sharon and I were installed in our new office. I don't think there is any correlation with those two things happening, but we're back here today and touching wood that everything runs to plan.
Stuart?
Yeah?
There's a really bad feedback. Now, I don't know if everyone's getting it.
One sec.
There's a massive echo coming from somewhere, whether like two people are sat next to each other.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yeah, Stuart Young's just said he's getting feedback as well.
Oh, okay, we've gotten to the source of the echo. Sorry. I think that should be done.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, the echo should be gone.
Oh, hang on. I've still got a massive echo. Oh, no. Sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. I wasn't hearing the echo on my end, but okay, we've sorted that out. So really touching wood now in the hope that this session runs well. If you'd like to get in touch today during the session, you can do so on Zoom by raising your hand, by pressing Alt and Y if you're on Windows, Command and Y if you're on a Mac, or using a mobile app, you can activate the raise hand button, which is usually inside the More Options area of the app. And if you want to chat with us, you can press Alt and H on a PC, Command and H on a Mac, or activate the chat button on your mobile app of choice. And as Carl mentioned just a few moments ago, please make sure you send your message to all panelists and attendees so that everybody gets to see your message. Now, I'm delighted to reintroduce Sharon Lyons, who works here as a trainer in Sight and Sound Technology Ireland. She's also a bit of a Google guru, and Sharon is going to present to us this afternoon on all things Google related. Really popular session. We've had lots of people asking about rerunning this one, so we're delighted to be able to bring it so quickly, and very happy to hand over to Sharon. And Sharon, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on Google. So basically, I'm a bit of a Google girl, as I mentioned before. I don't work for Google. I work for Sight and Sound, as Stuart mentioned, but I kind of have an Android phone, and I use Gmail a lot, and a Google Calendar, and I have a general interest in accessibility, of course. And as some of you may know, I do like my keyboard shortcuts. So when I do use Google apps, I tend to use the keyboard shortcuts. And then I've tried using various different screen readers as well to see how it works alongside Google. So the other thing just to say as well is, as you know, things on the web change. So this is all correct as of today, and I'm using a Windows 10 laptop that, as far as I last checked, is completely up to date. I'm using JAWS 2020, and I'm using Google Chrome as my browser because the Google apps work. Well, of course, they work well in Google Chrome. I do find they work quite well in Microsoft Edge, which is kind of built these days on the same platform. Yep, so things may change, but this is all correct as of today. And as I said, I have been using Google for a while, Google Apps for a while, and the keyboard shortcuts haven't changed, just extra features come in and it gets better. The important thing to mention here is that the Google apps they're called web apps. They're applications as opposed to web pages. So they behave in a slightly different way. So when you use a screen reader, you tend to, and you access the web, you tend to use tools like the virtual cursor as it's called in JAWS, which gives you the ability to navigate the web page quickly with a set of tools like H for heading and your insert F7 for a list of links. And it's the same sort of thing in NVDA, I think it's called browse mode, and in narrator it's called or focus mode, I think, and scan mode in narrator. So basically it's this mode in screen readers that enables you to access web pages easier. So when it comes to Google web apps like Gmail and Google Calendar and Google Drive, they're not web pages, they're web apps. Now you can navigate around them with your virtual cursor tools, but they're designed, certainly where the keyboard shortcuts are concerned, they're designed to run without the virtual cursor. And we find then that we might have to work with switching the virtual cursor on and off with insert Z, or in my case it's caps lock Z because I'm using a laptop, so my JAWS key is caps lock. So I'll be pressing caps lock Z, and I'll tell you when, I'll kind of give you an idea of when you know that you have to press that. But it is getting better, and the accessibility is getting better, and JAWS is, and Google themselves, getting better at kind of working in conjunction, and you will find that it just kind of works. The virtual cursor will come off automatically in some cases, when it makes sense to do. I am going to share my screen in a moment. Everything okay so far? And now the important question is, can everyone hear me okay? and as I share my screen, we'll get JAWS talking and we'll just check the sound before I start going through. So bear with me a moment. Thanks, Stuart. Stuart Young is saying he can hear me fine. Okay.
Meeting controls.
Okay.
Inbox left parent 1 right parent dash sistireland at gmail.com dash gmail dash Google Chrome.
So there's JAWS speaking. Everything okay there?
Sounds good.
Thanks, Carl. Great. And we're on Gmail first of all. So here we are in Gmail.
Inbox left parent.
And straight away,
Basic HT.
It's not quite doing what I want it to do, which is typical, and illustrates my point about virtual cursors straight away. So just to explain, I've kind of set it up already here, but to go to your Gmail, I usually just do gmail.com because my Chrome is set up with my Google account, and I can just go straight in. So I do gmail.com, and then to do Drive is drive.google.com, and calendar is calendar.google.com. And if you're logged into your Google account, they'll just all come up. I think even I focus on the address bar and type Drive, and it knows exactly where I'm going. So it's used to me typing in that address. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh the screen by pressing F5.
F5.
Which is always a good
Gmail.
one.
Loading standard view vertical bar. Main region. Grid. Unread. Sharon Lyons. Shortcut of the week.
Okay.
Page has 1 frame. 9 regions.
Now you would have
4
heard.
Basic HTML.
I let him speak for too long then. You would have heard a pop or various different pop sounds there, and kind of the higher pitched pop was it kind of coming out of virtual cursor, and then the lower pitched pop, it was coming back into virtual cursor. Now, if I use the arrow keys,
Claro read Chrome. Basic 8 Claro read Chrome. X. Visited link. Skip to content.
it starts reading as a web page. And I know I need to switch off the virtual cursor. So I do caps lock Z.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
And JAWS tells me it's off. Now, if I use the arrow keys.
Main region, grid, Sharon Lyons, shortcut of the week, suggested text and Gmail.
I can start arrowing up and down through my emails in my inbox. So when you go into your inbox in Gmail, it should start.
Unread, Sharon Lyons, shortcut of the week, draft messages and Gmail.
It should start reading. Now, this account is our Sight and Sound Technology Island Google account, and it's signed up with the shortcut of the week, Sharon's Shortcuts. So hence I have a new email that I haven't read since Monday when the shortcut came in. And you would have heard JAWS say
Sharon Lyons, unread, Sharon Lyons, shortcut of the week,
which is always handy to know. JAWS reads who it's from, the subject, as you expect, and it will also read a certain amount of the email. So if it's quite a short email, you can probably read it all from here. I'll give you an example. So I've got an email from Stuart here. If I arrow down.
Sharon Lyons, Stuart Lawler, headsets as attachment, step 2. Yes, of course. Stuart Lawler, vertical bar, head of content creation / biz.
Okay, so that was a nice short and sweet email from Stuart last week, where, not last week, a couple of weeks ago, where I was asking for a new headset and he said, yes, of course. And here we are. So it read the whole email. So I don't even have to open it and I can quickly kind of get a gist of what's in that email. Okay. Something I've just noticed I haven't spoken about yet is how to switch on these keyboard shortcuts as well. So if you're in Gmail and you haven't used keyboard shortcuts before, you have to switch them on. And to do that, you actually press Shift and question mark.
Question, keyboard shortcuts. The following keyboard shortcuts are currently enabled. Disable.
And yeah, so it immediately said it was actually enabled at the moment. But Shift and question mark actually brings up a list of all the keyboard shortcuts. And you'd have to actually switch on your virtual cursor to read those. Or you can also, there's an option to open in a new window, I think, that you can tab to. But when you open this as Shift and question mark, you can just press tab.
Disable link.
And that disable link then is actually, in my case, to disable keyboard shortcuts because they're currently enabled. And JAWS read that when I first went into this. So I'll press escape and just go into that again so you'll hear JAWS.
Question, keyboard shortcuts. The following keyboard shortcuts are currently enabled. Disable.
Yep, and I pressed, it says they're enabled.
Disable link.
And then I have an option to disable. But you would tab and press enter on enable to get the keyboard shortcuts. And there's a lot of them.
Escape, main read.
And we're back to our inbox.
Sharon Lyons, Stuart Lawler, Sharon Lyons, short.
We're going up and down between our emails there. So we have our keyboard shortcuts on. And what we can do now is we can read an email. Maybe we want to look a bit more into an email. So I think I'm on a shortcut of the week.
Shortcut of the week, yep. Suggested text.
And I will press enter.
Enter. Main region. Shortcut of the week, suggested text and Gmail edit. Type in text. Conversation.
Okay. And if I press down arrow, as you would do to read an email, it's actually scrolling down the email, but it's not saying anything. And this is just one of the quirky things in Gmail is where now I need to access this email message like a web page. So I can switch on my virtual cursor.
Use virtual PC cursor on.
And then I can press H for heading.
Sharon Lyons info at Sharon's-short. We're here to help. Heading level 1.
And I've actually put headings in the Sharon shortcut of the week email. So I can press H.
Continuing with our web-based Gmail shortcuts. Heading level 1.
So this is the Sharon Shortcuts email is 1 email a week, where I'm actually going through the Gmail shortcuts one by one, so you can try them out one by one. Yeah, a lot of people have said to me over the years, because these keyboard shortcuts aren't JAWS shortcuts, apart from obviously switching on and off the virtual cursor. So anything that involves like caps lock or insert is a JAWS shortcut, but all the other shortcuts are standard. And I've always wanted to get more people using the keyboard, whether they use assistive technology or not. And people always said to me that, yep, shortcuts are great, they're very fast, but I can never remember them. So that's why I started up my mailing list, where I send out 1 keyboard shortcut a week. Because I say, if you can learn 1 at a time, you can learn them all. So, so that's what that email is about, in case you were wondering. So people can kind of take in 1 shortcut at a time, whoever they are, and however they use the computer. Okay, so yeah, so H
Webinar Wednesdays at Sight and Sound Technology. Heading level 1.
is taking me down through the headings in this email, and then I can arrow down.
Every Wednesday, Sight and Sound Technology has been hosting an in-depth web or partially cited way back in early April in one of the first webinar.
Okay, so that was last week's email talking about last week's webinar. So I can read the email like that, and then to get back to my inbox, I use one of the Gmail shortcuts, GI. So if you think go to inbox, GI.
Site wrapping to top. Heading level 3. Sharon Lyons info at
there we
Sharon's
go.
dash shortcuts.
But did anyone remember I have my virtual cursor on? So I have to switch that
Use
off
virtual
now.
PC cursor off.
And then I can use GI.
Main region, grid, unread, Sharon Lyons, shortcut of the week, draft messages in Gmail, Sep 14. Thank you for being on the Sharon's.
Okay, and we're back to the top of our inbox. You can reply to emails very easily. If I arrow down to
Stuart Lawler,
email here.
as attachment, Sep 2. Yes, of course. Stuart Lawler, vertical bar, head of content creation.
And that was quite a short email that I didn't actually have to open to read what Stuart's response was to my original email that said, can I have a new headset? So I will have to open it though if I want to reply.
Enter. Main region. Headsets edit. Type in text. Conversation.
And at this point now I can press R for reply. I can press F for forward. I can press A for reply to all. So I'll just press R to reply.
R, list with 1 item. Stuart Lawler Wed, Sep 2, 2:57 p.m. Not starred. Reply more to me. Show details. Yes, of course. Stuart Lawler, vertical bar.
Okay, and it started reading out. So I should be able to type now.
H-I space S-E-U-A-R-T.
Actually, I'll just do that again and just see if I can show you something else here.
H-I space S. Suggested text Stuart.
Okay, this is a great thing when you're composing emails. It's giving me suggested text, or in Gmail it's called Smart Compose. So it knows that I'm replying to Stuart. So I type in hi, and then I typed S, and it says, you obviously want to say hi Stuart, don't you? And it's actually I do. So I can press tab.
Inserted suggestion Stuart.
And it tells me what it's just inserted.
Comma.
Okay.
Enter. Enter.
So now I can say
T-H-E space A-A-D-S-E-T space S space D-E-R-K-I-N-G space R. Suggested text really well.
Okay. So I've said the headset is working, and then typed R, and it says, oh, do you want to say really well? And I do. So that's grand.
Inserted suggestion really well.
There we go.
Period.
And
enter,
then
enter.
It will probably get the next thing I'm going to write as I sign off.
A-N-Y. Suggested text many thanks.
Yeah, you know me so well, Google, scary. Okay,
Inserted comma. Enter.
and then I just sign
A-N.
off. Now, to send a message, I press Control and Enter. Now, if you're like me and you use Outlook a lot, and you go between Gmail and Outlook, at one point I was in Outlook and I went to send a message and I did Control Enter, like I would in Gmail. And it actually said, oh, you're using the shortcut Control Enter. Would you like to use it in Outlook as well? So you can actually change the shortcut in Outlook or add the shortcut Control Enter. So when you go to send, rather than doing Alt S in Outlook and Control Enter in Gmail, you can actually have the same shortcut. But I actually didn't, for just to note, because I'm just kind of get into different modes with the two. So Control Enter I'm going to do now to send it in Gmail.
Control Enter. Sending ... Sending ... Cancel. headsets _Ireland@gmail.com.
Okay. And then I can do GI.
Main region. Grid.
Back to the inbox. And you see, once I get working in Gmail, JAWS has kind of copped on to the fact, and I'm not having to go in and out of the virtual cursor there. At that point, is there any questions, Carl?
Let's have a look for you, my dear. We've got a raised hand. Oh,
I just have a quick drink of water.
So you can just to remind people, you can raise your hand with.
Trevor's
with
dealing with
I.
those straight away. That's really good.
What's that in chat?
Yeah. Christy Ward, nobody's got their video active, so you will not see anyone on the screen, bar the shared screen that Sharon has up. I do apologise. Why can I sign up for your weekly shortcuts? Trevor sorted that one out. Christy also said Gmail is not a question mark. Can you repeat this bit as missed it? That was at 2:10, so it was a while ago, 15 minutes ago.
Okay, let me think.
I can't remember what I did 2 minutes ago, so I'm not really gonna.
I think you were talking about web-based applications.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it might have been relating to that.
Gmail, I might have said like Gmail's not a web page as such, it's an application.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you wouldn't access the standard Gmail in the same way as you would access a web page.
So it's an application that runs in a web page, I suppose, isn't
Exactly,
it? That's the difference.
exactly.
Yeah.
Joe Fullerton's got a quick question. Good afternoon, Joe. I hope you're well. Does JAWS really learn the switching between virtual cursor and non-virtual cursor, or do you always need to do it a few times manually first?
No, I just find that good question. It's just that, you know, last week Eric was talking about how with YouTube and different things like that, it automatically switches off the virtual cursor so you can use the YouTube shortcuts. What was the other one he was talking about?
Yeah, he was talking about Facebook, because Facebook had changed that. But that's only for, so just for clarity for people who may be wondering about this is in 2020 specifically.
Right.
And you can do it on a per tab basis. So if you have, for example, in Sharon's example there, if Gmail is open in one tab of, say, Chrome, and you have something else open in another tab, and you want to use the virtual cursor in another tab, it should, and indeed it does, switch on and off as you move from tab to tab. But it's only on 2020, Joe, so I hope that might answer that question for you.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to work relatively well these days. It was just because I had to swap back and forth there actually, because when I opened the email to read it, I had to put the virtual cursor on, and then I forgot it was on. And then when I went back to the inbox and I pressed GI, you'll notice it started talking about graphics. So as soon as I press G, it's trying to jump to the next graphic on the page. So then I know, oh, I've still got my virtual cursor on. Yeah.
Okay, Joe put that's great. I've got a couple of hands. Gonna go Arthur Aston. You can unmute yourself, Arthur, if you can.
Hello.
Arthur,
Arthur, hello.
are
I
you
think
there?
do you press the space bar or something? Does that-
Sometimes you have to just unmute yourself. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little Zoom. We can't unmute people automatically, unfortunately.
Right, we'll just quickly move on. There is another hand, but it is only an Irish mobile number. So
Oh,
so if your number's
cool.
498 547 819, then it's now
Only
on
an
you.
Irish mobile number. Okay. So if you're on the phone, you may need to unmute yourself.
Can
should
you
be
hear
there.
me now?
We
Yay.
can. How are you?
Hello.
It's not a mobile, it's a landline. Anyway, my question was, will these shortcuts work in HTML mode, or is this only in standard?
That's a very good
But
question.
I use like basic HTML for Gmail, so will these shortcuts work in that, or?
Yeah, no, it's the answer to that question. That's a very good question, and you've kind of moved on to something that I wanted to speak about next. So,
Okay, so I'm so sorry.
it's like I planted your question or something, because I just wanted to...
My other question was slightly unrelated, but is there going to be any webinar Wednesday about 365 or any of that? Because I'm a bit on the fence about whether to buy it or not.
Okay, so that's a great question, and thank you, because you've given me an idea. I'm an unashamedly 365 fan, so maybe you've just given me a project. So yes, we'll do
Word, because
yeah, we'll do it. I can't tell you exactly when, because of course the thing with 365, I don't want to take too much of Sharon's time on this, but the thing with 365, of course, is the main difference is you do need to use the apps. The online versions are not as good as what Sharon's showing today. You do have to use the apps for it to work. But when you do use the apps, you can collaborate. It's actually very good. So we'll thank you for the suggestion. We'll certainly look into it. We might even give Carl a job from this as well.
hey!
Look what you've done.
Don't panic me.
That was great. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yeah, great
Thank
question.
you. Arthur, one last chance. Forever hold your peace. Right, that's it. You're gone. I do. That's it. No messing around today.
No mess on this webinar.
Do have Catherine Turner. Where do you go to in the inbox when you? Okay.
Go on, spit it out.
I'm trying to read it. There's a few letters missing, which doesn't really make it. When you do go to the inbox, is that G and I together or after each other?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's just after each other. I guess G then I. Yeah.
There you go. That was easy.
Yeah.
After all, that just took me 15 minutes to read it. It's all back to you, Sharon. We're caught up.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Just to go back to, sorry, I've forgotten the lady's name that was just answering those questions. But back to the basic HTML mode in Gmail. So a lot of places will recommend that for screen reader users. So, and the reason for that is because it is laid out as a web page and not a web app like Gmail is. So the standard Gmail is a web application, and the basic HTML version of Gmail is a web page. So you can move around with your virtual cursor toolkit, like T for table to go to the list of messages. Gosh, what else? I think it's kind of like Alt-C to compose. Yeah, so there is a separate set of shortcuts for using basic HTML. Right at the top, I think, of the Gmail web page, there's an option to go to basic HTML by default. So you can do that. And actually, there's an excellent
You have one new message.
YouTube video recording by the American Printing House for the Blind, is it called, Stuart? APH. APH has a whole load of excellent webinars on their YouTube page that I'd recommend, and one's on using Gmail, and they go through great ways to use the basic HTML version. But I'm doing the standard version because I'm being brave, and if you get used to the Gmail shortcuts and then you start using Google Drive, Google Calendar, Google Docs, they're quite consistent across them, and you kind of get used to the way things are laid out. So, and of course, everyone can use these shortcuts as well. And I just realized I muted Jaws when he was telling me I had a new message in Gmail. So sorry, Jaws, and thanks for that. It's Stuart's fault. You replied to my message, that's not a problem. Okay, so I can probably arrow up then.
Main region, grid, unread, Stuart Lawler, headsets, as attachment, 2:32 p.m. I'm delighted to hear that, Sharon. Maybe next week I'll get you a brand new camera to go with it.
Oh, yes,
Tears of Joy, Stuart Lawler, vertical bar, head of content creation / business development manager, left parent.
Thanks very much. Great, gets better. Okay, what else shall I show you? Oh, yeah. You can arrow up and down for your messages, and you can arrow left and right to move between what I would call a folder list and the message list. So if I arrow to the left,
labels, navigation region, inbox 2 unread link.
I'm now on the folder list, but Gmail calls it labels. So rather than having emails in folders, the way Gmail does it is that they label messages. So messages are labeled as a particular category that you can actually determine if you want. For example, in here we've got
starred link.
Starred, these are the standard ones. So you can actually put a star on some emails if you want to do some kind of indication that you need to look at it again or follow up, a bit like a flag, I guess.
Snoozed link.
Snoozed, I've never really used, but you can snooze emails. So maybe they pop up again. I must try that.
Sent link.
And we have sent, of course, and
drafts link.
And drafts. So
sent link.
If we go back to sent, I press enter on sent.
Enter. Main
and as
region.
you would
Grid.
imagine,
headsets as attachment 220.
as you would imagine, then the message list changes to my sent messages, and that first one was the one I just replied to earlier. Now I can do GI.
Main region. Grid. Unread. Stuart Lawler.
And I'm back into the inbox. If I wanted to jump to my sent messages, I can do GT.
Main region. Grid. headsets as attachment 2:23 p.m. Hi Stuart, the headset is working real.
So I can jump to my from my inbox to my sent and back
main
to
region.
my inbox.
Grid.
Now, one other thing just to show you, we have Smart Compose that I showed you where it starts doing suggested text for you, and I just press tab if I want to accept it or keep typing if I don't. But there's also suggested replies. So if I open this email from Stuart that he just sent.
Enter. Main region. headsets edit. Type in text. Conversation opened.
Now I basically read this whole email without having to open it. But the interesting thing that I want to show you here is that you can get to some suggested replies. So it will give you, if you want to quickly reply to an email, it will give you like a phrase that you can stick into an email and send it off. And the quickest way to get to these, well, I could just, yeah, it was virtual cursor again. So I switched virtual cursor on. And then, well, the quickest way I can get to it with a screen reader is what I mean, and without a mouse. And now I know they're buttons, so I can press B for button.
Inbox button. Remove label. Reply button.
Might have to press it a few times.
More button. Show details button. Suggested reply.
Here we go.
Brilliant button.
Brilliant.
Suggested reply. Perfect button. Suggested reply. Aha button.
And I could do Shift B.
Suggested reply. Perfect button. Suggested reply. Brilliant button.
Okay, I think I might go for brilliant, and I press enter on that.
Enter. List with 1 items. Stuart Lawler, 2:32 p.m. Left parent 4 minutes ago. Right parent.
And now what it's done, you hear the pop. It actually automatically took me out of virtual cursor there because it knew I was about to edit a message. So what it's done is it's created a reply message, and it's put the word brilliant in it. And I can just be really lazy now and just send that. So I can do Control Enter.
Control Enter.
Gone.
Sending ... Sending ... Cancel. Headsets
And then-
@ireland@gmail.com --gmail.
Answers on a postcard. What happens now if I press GI? What do you reckon?
Message sent.
Oh, thanks.
Click heading level 3
Yeah.
Stuart Lawler.
There we go. I'll have to turn my virtual
Use
cursor
virtual PC cursor off.
off.
GI. Main
So-
region.
So yeah, it's a little bit clunky in that we have to go in and out of the virtual cursor sometimes, but it's kind of giving us the best of both worlds because we're using the Google Gmail app, but then we could switch to our virtual cursor to access those suggested reply buttons and switch back again to continue. Yeah, so we're really making JAWS work hard, giving us all the different options. Okay. Anything else on Gmail? Shall I move on?
We've just got hi, do you press enter to apply any verbal suggestions?
Pretty much, yeah. It's a bit like everything, you know, if you hear, you know, a button, you can usually press enter, or you hear link, you can press enter. Sometimes you can press spacebar, but yeah, to perform the action, you usually press enter on it. Would you press enter or spacebar, Stuart? Generally enter works. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, enter a spacebar. There's never, I mean, normally you can do either in a lot of cases to activate those buttons.
We do have one hand just appeared from Ahmed. Ahmed, I've just unmuted you. You just need to unmute yourself, sir.
Ahmed has been a regular visitor before as well.
Yeah, hi.
How are
Hi,
you?
guys. Thank you for the great demonstration of Gmail.
Thank you.
This is exactly one of the things that I mentioned to Eric Damre last week. Regarding the shortcut keys are available on the YouTube, Facebook, and Gmail.
Yes.
It's called, I think, web shortcuts. And under JAWS setting, there is what's called enable shortcuts for those websites. But even though if you check it, it doesn't, because there is a conflict of JAWS using G for graphic, K for place marker, etc., etc. So it's something within JAWS. Even in 2020, the latest version, they haven't fixed it. So I don't know. It seems we will have the nagging of coming out in and out of the virtual cursor all the time.
Am I right, Ahmed, that I think there was some mention, was there last week, that they were looking at this for 2021?
That's what he said, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't downloaded the latest update of the 2021.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is conflict because there is a way to enable it so that you won't come in and out of virtual cursor by enabling the web shortcut keys in JAWS Center. It's like a checkbox.
Yeah.
So this is a problem that we have with JAWS.
So that just needs to work a bit more seamlessly, really. Yeah.
I hope so. Because there are a lot of websites nowadays. They use the shortcut keys. So,
and I suppose sometimes these things are hard to diagnose because we don't necessarily know if it might be something at the website end either that has broken something in the chain. So I think, as far as I know, they are aware of it, and I think he mentioned, he referenced something about 2021. So yeah, it's a good point. Though.
Because mainly, if you see the contact, what's called online management system like Joomla or Drupal, they have the shortcut keys incorporated in the web application.
Right.
So I don't know, it's somehow conflict with the JAWS.
Yeah, I think, like Stuart says,
Thank
I
you.
think they're working on it. But
That's the
yeah,
only
good
thing I wanted
point.
to say.
Yeah, thanks
you,
for
Ahmed.
pointing out
Thanks a million. Yeah.
the setting as well.
Thank you.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah. Talk about that. Okay.
Just got a quick question from Phil. Hello, did we go over the shortcut to compose a new message in standard mode?
In standard mode. Here, yeah. No.
Maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question?
What I did was I did a reply, but I didn't actually compose from scratch. Yeah, the compose, and thank you very much for that, because that would bring me nicely on to other things. The compose is just, you press C for compose or create. I'll do it now actually.
C. Compose : new message dialog.
Here we
New
go.
message region. To edit combo. To set the value, use the arrow keys or type the value.
Okay. So, yeah. Sorry, Stuart, you always get
Stuart Lawler Stuart.Lawler at
get all the
Technology.
emails
All right,
here.
Sharon, don't worry.
To move to an item, press the arrow keys.
I'm just using Stuart because I can just kind of show you that when you start typing in someone's name, if you've messaged them already, it will come up automatically. So it's also based on your contacts list as well. And there's not a very big contacts list on this account at the moment. So yeah, so as I'll just do that again.
Compose : new message.
So I start typing Stuart's name.
Stuart Lawler Stuart.Lawler at Sound Technology.E.
And
1 of 1.
if that wasn't the person that I wanted, I could just carry on typing, or I can press enter.
Compose : new message dialog. New message region. To edit, type in text. To edit combo. To set the value, use the arrow keys or type the value. Added Stuart Lawler. Press backspace to remove.
Eventually, it will actually tell me that Stuart's Lawler there is in my to field. I usually wouldn't wait to hear that because I trust that it is there. And then tab,
subject, edit,
your usual
subject,
kind of
type in
ID,
text.
tab to subject, and we're just we can type test or something.
Message body, edit, type in text. HELO, comma, NNTIS space TT.
So I can just type away there. It's the usual thing like you'd know from other email applications, that you tab to each field, tab to the body of the message, type in your message. And if I decide, okay, I think Stuart's had enough emails today, maybe I won't send this. If I just press escape, it will be saved to my draft. So within a few seconds of composing a message, your message is saved in drafts, and every few seconds it will be saved as you type. But say I didn't want to, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna just leave this. And if you're anything like me, I don't like having messy drafts hanging about. I can actually press Control-Shift-D for delete the draft. Control-Shift-D.
Control-Shift-D, draft discarded, undo link.
And there's no trace of what I just did. So, yeah, so that's kind of handy. One more thing to show here, which is also, so we had C for compose or create. And you tab through your information. If I did want to send that, I would have done Control Enter, finish off the message and press Control Enter to send it. Escape if I wanted to work on it later, it would be saved in my drafts. Or what I did was discarded the draft, Control-Shift-D. Now, very useful thing in all of these applications is to search. So the search shortcut is /, which is like your question mark key as well. So //
banner region, search mail, edit as pop-up, search mail, type in text.
And I can type in maybe short
ASSISTIVE.
cut.
Enter. Main region. Grid. Unread. Sharon Lyons. Shortcut of the week. Draft messages in Gmail. Sep 14. Thank
And
Sharon.
now I'm
Unread.
back in my
Sharon.
list of messages, which is my search results, and I should have
Sharon Lyons. Shortcut of the
a
week.
lot of shortcuts of the week. Oh,
Info.
actually,
Your free list of most commonly used shortcuts as attachment. Step 1.
this one has attachment, right? This was the initial email that you get when you sign up to the Sharon Shortcuts list. I send everyone a list of most commonly used shortcuts. And if I open this
Enter. Main region. Your free list
email,
of most commonly used shortcuts. Edit. Type in text.
and what I'm going to
Conversation
do
opened.
is I am going to find the attachment here now. And the way I would do that is to use the links list.
This feature is only available from within a virtual document, such
Okay.
as a
I thought it might do that. So again, here's an indication where I want to use my screen reader tools, but I'm in the Gmail and I don't have my virtual cursor on. So
use virtual PC cursor on.
Switch on my virtual cursor and try the insert.
Links
F7.
list dialog. Links list view. Join a meeting. 10 of Sharon's shortcuts key tip. Preview attachment. Most commonly used keyboard shortcut.
Now, depending on the number of links in your email, you might not have to arrow down too far. And I didn't. So I could arrow down and I've got preview attachment. Okay. Now, if I press enter on that,
enter.
It's going
Your
to
free
give
list
me
of most commonly
a preview of the attachment.
A1 zoom fit the width button. Zoom.
And it doesn't work well with screen readers, the preview. It's like a kind of temporary preview of the attachment. So it's just like a picture of the page on the screen. So I'm going to press escape.
Escape. Menu. Leaving menus. Main region. List with 1 items. Preview attachment. Most commonly used keyboard.
And I'm actually on the attachment now. I'm just going to move. Let me just see now. Yeah.
Download attachment.
Here
Most commonly used keyboard.
So what I could have done is, rather than done that preview that was no good to me, I could have done caps lock F7.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Preview attachment. Most commonly used.
And I'm
share preview attachment. Most commonly.
I'm on the link for the attachment, and I'll press tab.
Move the link button to activate.
And I'm going to move to link instead.
Enter. Link preview attachment. Most commonly used key.
So I know I'm down in the attachment area, and then I press tab.
Download attachment. Most common.
And it gives me an option to download the attachment, or if I press tab again,
save attachment to drive. Most commonly used keyboard shortcuts.
I can save my attachment to drive. So I'm going to actually save it to my drive.
Enter. Dialog. Adding to my drive. Organized close. The attachment has been added to Google Drive.
Thank you
Learn
very
more
much.
link. Added to.
That's great. Okay. Great, and I think that moves us nicely onto the drive then. So while I'm here, I'll just
use virtual PC cursor. Main region.
Go back to the inbox.
Unread. Sharon Stuart Lawler. Recall.
Back in my Gmail inbox. Okay. So we'll move on to Drive. Are there any questions before I move off of Gmail?
How do you bulk delete?
Excellent question. I was going to try, I didn't have a chance to try this out, but it's a very good question.
I'll tell you what, David, we'll come back to you with that one.
I think it's something to do with, now you can select an email by pressing X.
X. None selected.
It says not, I'm not sure why it says none selected. It's just select, or I can press X again to unselect.
None selected.
And there is a box kind of above the messages that you could select, that would select everything on the screen, and then you can press X to delete. So I'll show you.
Unread. Sharon Lyons. Shortcut of.
If I delete one of my own emails, I won't upset anyone. So if I press X,
none selected.
I don't know why it says none selected. And then I can press, it's the hash key to delete.
Number conversation move to trash. Undo link.
And
none
it's moved
selected.
that to trash. And of course I could do left arrow.
Labels navigation region. Start.
Arrow down.
Send draft. Important. Chats link. Schedule. All mail. Spam link. Trash link. Cat trash link. Enter. Main region.
There's only one email there, and I can actually do applications key as well, or your shift F10 on an email.
Applications context menu to navigate, press up or down arrow. Reply one of reply all. Forward as a tab. Move to inbox.
So you can use your applications for different actions, but there's move to inbox.
Enter,
so I can move it
menus,
back.
Action
and
completed.
GI,
main region. Grid. Stuart Lawler.
And I'm back into my inbox again. So I just need to figure out how to get to that the general checkbox for bulk deletion, but I know you can press X to select a message and hash to delete one message. I need to play with that one a bit more, but it's a great question.
It's no problem. Thank you, David. There's another one from Catherine Turner. If there are several emails in a conversation, how would you move from one message to the next? Would that be the case of switching the virtual cursor on and off again, or are there headings for each sender or something?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you put the virtual cursor on to read a message, you can, I think you can kind of jump down the message. Actually, that's a good question, because by default in Gmail, it kind of groups conversations together, and I switched that off. So, you know, for example, the conversation that me and Stuart are having on email about headsets would just be one message in my inbox if I had conversation mode on. I think it's called conversation mode. But I don't like that. I like to have all the messages. So, you know, so if I arrow down.
Unread. Sharon Lott. Stuart Lawler. Headsets.
There's another headset.
Step 2.
Email. So I'd rather have what's kind of traditional with email, that you actually have all the different parts of that conversation in your inbox and of course your sent emails. But if I go into one of them, I can then jump down and read the previous emails. Yeah, so conversation mode would be a setting in the Gmail settings.
Brilliant. One from Paul Leake. What is a simple shortcut to deal with attachments?
To deal with attachments? What do you mean by deal with attachments? Well, when I was in an email with attachments there, I did the links list. So I started using the kind of JAWS tools. And it says preview attachment. So if you had more than one attachment, they would be different links there. And I could add them to Drive or download them, each one with the links associated with them there. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by deal.
Well, it did just put with EG insert A plus. I would imagine plus A. I might need to add the rest of that onto the question next time.
That's fine. Yeah, I see what you mean by actually inserting an attachment. You would you tab to the attachment link. Yeah. So when you compose your message, you would finish your message and then tab until you get to the attachment link, and it will bring you off to like a folder view, and you can go find your file and attach it, and then it will put it in the message, and you can do Control Enter to send. Yeah, so there's an actual button for attachment that you can tab to when you're composing a message.
Excellent.
Okay.
We've just had someone leave. Bert van Langerhem. Yeah, I definitely didn't get that right. It's a great webinar. Thanks. I need to move on to another meeting, but we'll get back to the recording shortly.
No worries. I'm going to move on to Drive. So yeah, just to let them know.
Just had Joe there. I think he's looking for a shortcut like the one above, used in Word to go to attachment. I meant Outlook.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's fine.
It's not as quick. I mean, in Outlook, I love to just go to the file, copy it, and paste it into the body of a message. Like you don't have the same shortcut with Gmail. But it's just, you just tab to attachments, press enter, and it takes you off to File Explorer window. So it's not too bad. Okay.
Excellent. Well, back to you. We're caught up. You must be very thorough with your explanations because
Ooh.
we're not getting many questions.
I've bribed people. Or they're just being nice to me because of all the technical issues we had last time.
Yeah, they're taking. There's no pity involved in this one. It's all down to your ability, Sharon.
Oh, you're very good. I'll pay you that 50 quid later.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you very much. I'll send you my details. Right, it's all yours. Back to you.
Great. Right, let's go to Drive.
Use virtual PC cursor on my Drive Google Drive Google.
I like to drive. So, as mentioned before, if you want to go to your Drive in Google, you will have already logged in. Say you're already in Gmail. You've already logged into your Gmail, your main Gmail account. Here's a result. Sorry, I just somehow set off my Google Assistant on my phone. Then she wanted to chip in. Okay, so if I do Alt D for the address bar.
Address and search bar edit. https://drive.google.com.
There you go. So drive.google.com.
F6. My Drive Google Drive F6. F6. Main.
So you just type in drive.google.com and you're into your Drive. So the Drive is a cloud-based storage tool, storage app. And again, we have a very similar layout in that we have a list that I can arrow up and down on.
Grid. Mini vision underline off. My Drive Google link drive. My Drive Google link drive.
The virtual cursor just wanted to jump in then.
Use virtual PC cursor off.
I'm not sure why. I think that's just an example of the screen reader trying to help. Okay.
20200 grid bits and bobs Google Drive folder owned by me, last modified by me.
So I have folders, a folder called bits and bobs. You kind of have to be from this part of the world to understand what that means. I said that to an Australian person once and they didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So bits and bobs is my folder. I can press enter.
Loading. Get notifications on your computer for shared files and important.
Okay.
Staff Zoom call Google Docs owned by me, last modified by me, SEP2.
So I have some various folders here. Various files, sorry, in my folder. There's a little notification, a hint that says get notifications on your computer for shared files and important, and I can turn that on. I'm going to ignore that for now. And
COVID-19 contact, staff Zoom call Google Docs, weather observations Google Docs owned by me, last modified by.
So I have various Google Docs. I just got a few notes of work links and stuff there. If I want to go back up a level, it's GP. So go to previous level if you like, GP.
GP, loading, main region, name, reverse sort, direction, owner, last modified, grid.
And if I go down,
mini vision, underline, audio, most commonly used keyboard shortcuts.
There's my most commonly used keyboard shortcuts. So I can press enter on that.
Enter, showing viewer dialog, loading most commonly used keyboard shortcuts, SS.
And again, I have a kind of preview of that page of information, which isn't particularly useful for a screen reader. So it's a PDF file. I'll press escape out of that. But
escape,
what I could
get
do,
notifications on your computer for.
Okay, that's really annoying. I must try and get rid of that. So this file, this PDF file, I could do my applications key.
Context menu to navigate, press up or down arrow, preview, 1 of 4.
And if I arrow up, because I know it's at the end
remove,
of this
14
list,
of 4. Download, 13
I have
of
a
14.
download. So I can press
leaving
enter on
menus,
that.
main region, name, reverse sort, direction, owner, last modified file size, grid, most
now
commonly used keyboard shortcuts.
It's downloaded it.
Heading level 1, most commonly used keyboard short.
It's downloaded the file, it's opened it in Acrobat Reader, and now I can read it.
Column Windows key, open/close the start menu, Windows key plus D, go to the desktop, Windows key plus E, File Explorer.
And I'm sure you all know these really well, so we will press Alt F4 to close
Alt
Acrobat
F4,
Reader.
My Drive-Google Drive-Google Chrome. This is a test, most commonly
and
used.
we're back in my drive. Now, I have
Mini Vision underline audio underline quick underline start underline guide.mp3 audio.
I have an MP3 file here, and this is not so bad with the preview, because if I press enter on this now, it will actually play that MP3 file. So if I press enter.
Enter. Showing viewer dialog. Loading Mini Vision.
Hello and welcome to this quick start guide to the Mini Vision, brought to you by Sight and Sound Technology.
Escape.
And I can press escape to come out of it. And the same with MP4, you know, video files. It will play the video in preview mode. So it's not great for documents, but it's pretty good for multimedia files. Let me just check my list. I haven't missed anything off. Yep, I can go to the, again, I'd say like the folder list. Left and right arrows don't work the same as in Gmail, unfortunately, but I can do GN for navigation, go to navigation.
GN, navigation region, folders and views preview. My drive closed, 1 of 6.
So I'm in my drive.
Expand, shared with me.
And I can also go to shared with me file. So if anyone's shared a file with me from their Google Drive to my Google Drive. So I press enter on that
shared
actually.
With me, 2 of 6. Main region, shared items list, sort by
I will
selected.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it actually jumped into the file list, so I didn't have to go back to it. But if I was in navigation, I wanted to go back to the files list, wherever I am, I would do GL. So go to list, GN, go to navigation. So here's a video file. I didn't let Jaws speak, but trust me, it's a video file. And I press enter.
Showing viewer dialog. Loading Sharon underline S underline shortcuts underline 020318 underline. Escape. Shared with me dash Google Drive.
So I could actually watch, I could stop Jaws talking and watch that video. Okay.
Gen, navigation region, folders and views preview.
And I'll go back up to my drive and press
enter. Loading main region, name, reverse sort, direction.
Okay.
Grid 2020.
The other thing I can do again is your search is the / again. So press slash.
Banner region, search region, search and drive.
Put in weather.
DATAR. Enter main region, loading, last modified sort by : last modified selected.
Okay. There's only one file there, so I need to just find out how to get it to read
enter.
that.
Use virtual PC.
Or I can just press
enter.
enter.
Untitled Google Chrome frame document content edit contains text screen reader support
and
screen reader support enabled on page 1.
It's opened a Google Docs, so it's opened a new tab with the document with my weather.
Monday's weather : nice but chilly.
And this is from a few weeks ago. It's certainly it's nice and warm now, but, and it's reading
Sunday's
out. So I could add
text. Enter. Weather observations. Sunday's weather : beautiful.
Okay, and I can edit that. You'll notice that it said there, as soon as I went into Google Docs, I opened a Google Docs, it said screen reader support or something like that. I can never remember the exact words that he says. That's really important. With Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, any kind of the Google suite that you are using, when you go into it, you need to enable screen reader support. And to do that, you only have to do it once. And to do that, it's Control-Alt-Z. So if I do it now, Control-Alt-Z.
Control-Z, frame, document, content, edit, type and text, screen reader support disabled.
And it says screen reader support disabled. So I'll switch it back on. Thank you very much.
Control-Z, screen reader support enabled.
And what that does is, well, there's a lot in Google Docs anyway, but it basically adds a menu called accessibility and gives you a whole host of different tools there. If I just, while I'm here, I just do
Alt menu, accessibility, 9 of 9. To move through items, press up or down arrow.
And there's lots of things on headings and formatting, getting information about formatting here, comments.
Speak at comments, see footnote, end black, headings, H black, right,
So
pointing, pointer, sub menu, escape,
use
leaving
all those tools there. Okay. I'm going to close this, go back to my drive.
Control W, search results dash Google Drive dash Google Chrome, escape.
And then to come out, usually escape gets you out of a search, but I'll do GN.
Navigation region, folders and views, tree view. My drive closed, 1 of 6.
Press
To enter,
enter
loading, main region, name, reverse sort,
grid. I'm back into my drive again. Another thing in Drive, similar to Gmail, if you want to create something, you press C. So
C, new button menu, press space to activate the menu, then navigate menu, folder, to move through items, press up or down it.
Yes, we can create a folder.
File upload.
We can upload a file.
Folder upload.
We can upload a folder. So this will just take you off to a File Explorer window and let you pick something to put onto your drive. And then we've got all the suite,
Google Docs,
Google Sheets, Google Slides,
Google Forms, sub-menu,
etc. I'm not actually going to create anything now, so just press
escape leaving menus, new button menu, press space to menu, folder, escape,
and then I can always, if I'm not really sure where I am, I want to get back to my list of files, go to list, GL.
Main region, name, reverse sort, direction, owner, last, mini vision, underline, odd.
There we go, I'm back in my main list of files. Any questions on Drive so far? While I look and see if there's any other goodies. Hello. I haven't lost
anyone. To remind people, of course, you can raise your hand or type in the chat if you have questions. Sorry, Carl.
I had myself muted, which wasn't really helping.
So did I. Apologies.
I thought everyone had gone.
We are pros.
Sharon's capable hands.
We are professionals, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. One from Arthur Aston. Do I need to switch virtual let me put my teeth back in. Virtual cursor off to use Chrome keystrokes?
Yes.
That was easy.
And of course, just to say that if it's a JAWS, again, going back to that one earlier on, if it's on JAWS 2020, that setting should hold.
Yep,
and it has been holding, actually. You'll notice in Drive, I didn't have to mess about with the virtual cursor too much at all, because I wasn't using it to read messages. It was just quite happy to tell me where I was and let me use the Drive shortcuts.
And Joe Fullerton asked, was that just C for create? And it was just C, wasn't it? When you were in there?
Just C. Yeah.
Even I remembered that part, Joe.
Well done, Carl.
Whoop, whoop. Right, we have a question from Chris Brady. Chris, you can unmute yourself, please. Blimey. I can't talk. It must be gin o'clock.
Hello, this is Chris Brady.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Yeah. If you're in Google Docs or something and you open a document in Docs, can you select text and then put it in the clipboard and sort of, if you wanted to paste it into a Word document or something like that, could you do that?
I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the shortcuts when you're in Docs is very similar, you know, like Control B for bold and all of that a lot. Moving around a document is the same. I could try it in a minute if you like and just see, to check.
Like,
I'm pretty sure.
I know people are using Google Docs and things, but if you use Google Docs and then you want to put something in into Microsoft Word or something, how well does it sort of cross over?
Yeah, well, it's just text. So you kind of you copy it. Oh, and the actual files. Yeah, now that's a good question. Well, every question's good, but yeah. So if you say, you know, we were looking at uploading a file. So
Yeah,
if you uploaded a file that's a Word file
yeah.
into your Drive,
Uh-huh.
and then you're in your Drive and you want to open that file, it actually opens it. It converts it into a Google Docs file and opens it in Google Docs. And then you could edit it and go back. So it doesn't actually change the Word file. It would actually edit a Google Docs version of it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right. So
just,
if you had a Word file, you could open it in Google Docs and you could work on it there, and then I suppose you could then export it to Word, I suppose, could you?
yeah, I think you can. I haven't done that for a while actually, but I seem to remember. I think you can do that. Yeah. I'd have to just double check, but I can try. I know you certainly can select and copy and paste just onto the clipboard kind of thing. Copy onto clipboard and paste somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a handy thing to do. That is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the Google Drive is it's online storage as such. It's just that it has Google Docs attached to it, associated with it. So when you go to open something that's a text file, it jumps into Google Docs to give you the option, you know, to edit it.
And how good is Forms for making, if you wanted to make a form of your own, for example?
Watch this space.
All right.
That's something I'm yet to play with actually, because it's relatively, well, I don't know, it's probably been around for ages, but I've just recently, and also Google Meets as well is relatively new, but
right.
I'd like to have a play with them. Maybe am I just setting myself up for another webinar now? Thanks very much. So yeah, leave that one with me because I'm going to have a play with that.
Okay, then thanks very much for your answers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you. Just going to quickly move back into the chat box. What's the default capacity for OneDrive?
Oh, that's a great question.
Is it around 1 terabyte?
Yes. Now, I found out about all these recently just to compare and contrast. So OneDrive, which is the Microsoft online storage, is you get 5 gig free.
Oh.
And then you can pay for 6 terabytes at 99 euros a year or thereabouts. But if you have an Office subscription, Office 365, you get 1 terabyte of online storage free. Google, you get free space of 15 gigabytes. So, so you get 5 free with OneDrive, but you get 15 free with Google. And then you can pay 20 euros a year to bring it up to 100, or 100 a year to bring it up to 2 terabytes. So they have kind of various different levels. And then Dropbox is the other one, which is 2 gig for free, and then 2 terabytes are 120 a year or thereabouts. I think that's all euros. But yeah, I guess if you want to store a lot of stuff and you have Office 365, you have plenty of storage there. But I've had Google for years, and I've got pictures and all sorts on my Google Drive, and I haven't reached 15 gig yet.
That's good.
So
even
yeah.
I might start using mine then and get rid of my Dropbox that cost me 10 quid a month.
Well, yeah, and see, Dropbox, we used to use Dropbox all the time. And when I say we, I say my household, because we used to share different files on there. But there was a problem when we wanted to both edit them at the same time.
Whereas on OneDrive, you can.
And on Google Drive, you can
Yeah.
as well. In
That's
fact,
brilliant.
In fact, it's relatively, I think me and Stuart a few years ago had a play with collaboration on documents in GDocs, and it was relatively accessible. Just need to learn some
Yeah,
shortcuts.
it was very good. It worked well, and that was a couple of years ago with Chrome and JAWS. So if anything, I'd expect it to be better. So it was really good. So it's something we can definitely look at.
Great questions, everyone. Thanks.
Excellent. Just quickly move on to the next one. Can you turn preview off in settings?
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. Yeah, interesting question. Settings. Oh gosh, dare I go into settings? Settings is T in Google Drive.
T, banner region, settings button menu, press space to act. Menu, settings, to move through items, press up or down arrow. Get drive for desktop.
Ooh. Ooh.
Keyboard shortcuts. Get drive
Sorry, I'm
for
just getting distracted by this menu now. That was actually another question from last time, that you can actually get a shortcut on your desktop for Drive, so you can kind of use it as a folder on your desktop and move things in and out of it, and use it for backup as well.
Settings.
What were we doing? We were settings. What was so easily distracted.
Turn preview off.
Oh yeah.
Enter, leaving menus, settings dialog, tab, general tab selected, 1 of 3. To switch pages, press tab panel, storage summary, 9.7 MB of 15.
There you go. You press T for settings and start tabbing around to tell you how much of your storage is used so far.
By storage link. View items taking up storage link.
Ooh.
Convert uploaded files to Google Docs editor format, checkbox not checked. To check, press space bar.
Yeah, okay. So if I upload a Word document, it won't automatically convert it to Google Docs, but if I open it in Google Docs, it will, obviously, yeah.
Change language setting, learn more link. Density list box collapsed as pop-up.
This is kind of theme
Make relevant
stuff.
files handy when you need them in quick access.
It's not in there. Oh, here's another thing actually. Make relevant files handy when you need them in quick access. When you first use Drive, it has all your recent files there, which I don't like. I've never really got on well with that. I kind of have my files organized and I like to see them how I've organized them rather than the computer telling me, you looked at this yesterday, you want to look at it again, don't you? No, I don't. So I usually switch this off. So make relevant files handy when you need them in quick access. I switch that off, and then I just have my list of files as I've organized them in Google Drive.
Settings dialog, to navigate the button to activate tab, notifications tab selected, 2 of 3. To switch pages, press Control plus page down.
I don't
Manage
think
apps tab selected.
No, there's other apps there. No, I don't. Sorry, I don't think there's anything about switching off the preview mode in Drive there, but I can look into it. That's a good question. So rather than previewing it, just open it. Is that kind of what we're getting at? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping an eye on everybody's time as well, because it's 3:20. So we normally try to finish this around 3:30, 3:35. So just if people have questions, just so people are aware of that as well.
We've just got a couple more questions in one hand, so I'll do the questions quickly. Are there compelling reasons to use Docs in preference to Word and OneDrive, or is it just down to preference?
I think it depends with who you're working with as well.
Yes.
I think it depends with what your organization. If you're working for, like some universities are very much Google centric, some are Microsoft. In Sight and Sound, we use Microsoft. So I think you've got to, if it's a work thing, you may not have the choice.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that. So it depends what you're used to. Yeah, preference. Yeah. Oh. I can hear myself echoing.
That's Stuart again, isn't it?
No.
One last question. Do you know whether Google Drive keeps various old versions of documents in the same way that Dropbox does, so you can restore an old version if you need to?
Yes, it does. Last time I looked at that, it wasn't hugely accessible, but I could access old versions. So it's actually in Docs. You can go to the file menu and it says something about previous versions in the file menu. So you do you open it in Google Docs, and then you do Alt F and go down to version history, I think it is. Yeah, it exists. And it looks like I'm going to be doing maybe something on Google Docs, Forms, and Meets.
I think that'd be a good idea. Is OneDrive, Paul Leak again, is OneDrive just the same as Google Drive?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess, yeah, it's online storage. It's just the way you access it. Yeah.
One's Microsoft, one's Google.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and just maybe to add to that is that OneDrive is obviously part of Windows, comes integrated into. So if you have a Microsoft account, it's very easy to sort of automatically have your documents folder, for example, syncing in the cloud all the time. But you could do all that with Google as well. So it's another offering.
Michael Cassidy just has one suggestion. How about a webinar on calendars and syncing?
I love all these suggestions. We need to, yes. We certainly will look at that as well.
That moves me really nicely onto the calendar in a minute as well.
This chap called Twever Lyons has just said, do you want me to answer the security questions?
Yes, let's deal with the security questions.
Okay.
So the question was that somebody had sent in an email to us yesterday in advance of the session, which sometimes those questions are really helpful, around, I suppose the best way to summarize it, and then we'll hand over to Trev, but I think the best way to summarize this is minimizing your Google footprint. So how can you browse, I suppose, and how can you use the web with minimum footprint or info being passed back to Google. So we pass that over to Trev because he's a bit of a Google expert.
Hi guys, it's Trevor here. I think it's actually my machine that's causing the echo, so nobody else talk while I'm talking.
Apologize, Trev. or sorry, Carl rather. Carl blaming me.
I'm still blaming you, Stuart.
You're probably getting the echo now as you guys speak. Before I get into the security thing, there was a question there about why should you use Google Docs as opposed to Word and DocX format. Google Docs is free. You're going to have to pay for Word on your machine, your Office 365. So that was one thing that I noticed. Now on to the security questions from Eamon O'Connor. He says he's using Firefox browser, so instead of using Chrome, he's using Firefox, which is definitely a good start because Firefox is produced by Mozilla and they are very security focused. He also mentioned that he's using startpage.com as opposed to google.com for his searching. And again, I haven't actually used startpage.com. I've been using DuckDuckGo as my search engine, and that's also very privacy focused in the way that it doesn't track you quite so much, doesn't try and build a profile on what you're searching. He's also turning off his YouTube history, so YouTube aren't remembering everything that he's watched and then using that again to build a profile of him. He does use Gmail and YouTube, Google services, but he's wondering what other things can he try. Well, back to the browser, you can put in some add-ins or add-ons, I think they call them. And the one that I quite like is one called the Privacy Badger. And that one will actually stop any sites that are trying to track you across the internet. And it'll actually display. Now, I don't know how accessible it is, but you can just sort of switch it on and let it go. So when you're going to a particular web page or website, it's built from components from other web pages across the internet. So as the page loads, it pulls in different resources and different images, and these analytic engines start looking at what you're looking at, and these are all being pulled in. Privacy Badger will stop that happening and block them. So that's definitely a good one to put on. You just load it up and forget about it in essence. And it shouldn't impact you too much on what you're browsing. The other thing that I came across was HTTPS everywhere. So that one's just really a security focused thing. People are probably aware of HTTP. Well, HTTPS is the secure version of HTTP in essence. So that's another add-on. A third add-on that I just came across there recently called Firefox Containers. And that in essence looks like a separate tab to the user. But it quite hard to explain, but it basically containerizes everything that you're doing in that one tab. So if somebody's trying to track or look at what you're doing, all they can see is what's in that tab. So if you go to a Google service, Google then can't put their tentacles into the rest of your tabs in your browser. They're stuck and stay within Google.
Professional meeting controls. Meeting control.
Enough for now, unless was there anything else you'd suggest I talk about on that score?
That was great. You know, I think that was really interesting. And actually, it does make you think about all the times you're browsing or maybe you're looking at something on social media and next day an ad pops up on a Google search that you do for something related to something else you've searched for. So it's good to know how to minimize some of that, I think. So thanks very much, Trev.
Yeah, and sorry, I think Jaws was talking over you a bit then at the end, because I thought I was muted. Sorry about that. Just on that HTTPS thing, I think I have that set up on this work laptop anyway, so I can't actually access any website that doesn't have a secure shell. And every website these days should have a secure shell. So so if they don't, I can't access them. So they should, I've had to do it on my own websites, and that everybody should be using a secure shell. Yeah.
I think some of the browsers, some of the more modern ones, do actually warn you if you're going to a site that isn't HTTPS.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
like
certainly if you're shopping or anything,
Yeah. I know we've had this conversation before, Sharon, about putting your tinfoil hat on, but if you want to be completely tinfoil hatted, you'd never use Google services or Chrome or Amazon or your
Echoes
or your Google Home. Yeah, all of those things are unfortunately tracking you. So you just need to tilt your tinfoil hat slightly and use the services that you really help, but with an eye on a bit of security.
I think in the back of my mind, I'm already getting another webinar here in my head about IT security and just safe browsing online. So that's another one we'll add to the list and see can we do something on that.
Just need to do one about Linux.
That's on the way. That's coming.
There we go.
Yeah. Linux boy.
Well in hand already.
Linux boy and Google girl. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Tinfoil hats never suited me anyway.
Okay, guys, it's almost 3:30, so I think we'll do the calendar. I think it's a good idea to do. Maybe we may have to come back to the calendar because I'm kind of conscious of the time.
Okay.
Carol,
I could cover it very quickly.
Any other hands? Oh, there are hands actually.
There are. Okay.
There are now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the hands first then.
Two that we've already had. One's the landline number.
Okay.
Oh, this is the lady who was asking about the Office 365 idea for.
It's all yours.
Can you hear me?
We can. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, no, it is Sandra actually, but
Sandra,
I'm on holiday, so I'm not much good on the Zoom thing. I wanted to ask about the whole Google Docs versus Word in 365. I might start an argument on that because I've been sort of hovering between the two things.
365,
you know,
365.
well, Google Docs versus Word on 365 and all of that.
I think
Trevor just mentioned Google Docs and how it's free and everything, and I'm like, well, I was looking into it, and there was a tutorial that was really nice about Google Docs, and there was a tutorial about Word on FS Cast that wasn't very good and just shook my confidence completely. But I'm just still thinking about Google Docs again, and just like,
I don't know, Sandra.
Do
that
I
you
or
can,
don't I?
Yeah, I don't know what Sharon would. I mean, I don't know that you can compare them at the moment because it's absolutely the accessibility of the Microsoft online applications is just not at where the Google suite is.
That would be,
So,
so Google Docs is good online.
okay. Well, that's cleared that up then.
Yeah, I
so
don't really think they're the same.
So Google Docs.
Okay, brilliant.
Good.
And the whole tin hat thing, we'll just switch the internet off. That's what I've done on my computer with audio production stuff on it. The internet's not on it anymore. So if you want to be really secure, then just switch the internet off.
That'll work. Excellent. Yeah, I think the whole Google Docs thing, Google Docs online is easier to use. The OneDrive online is not, but OneDrive is works seamlessly in Windows, so you can use all the apps on your computer instead of the online apps, whereas Google Docs is just online. And you get the extra storage if you have an Office subscription. Yeah.
Okay, but with Word 365, you can't use that offline. That's online only, isn't it?
You can't. Well, so with 365, there are almost two components to 365. I think that's what you got to think of it as. So yes, you have the online components, but you also have all the offline clients as well. So you can download the full version of Word, the full version of Outlook, or whatever it is you want to use. So
wow,
for the price.
Thanks,
For the price, 365 I think at the moment is a no-brainer in terms of if you want access to the Microsoft suite.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would never use online Microsoft apps myself because I use the keyboard and it's completely mouse driven. So I use the applications and I use OneDrive and I don't have to go kind of open a browser at all. Yeah.
And I think the good news just on that is that, and this came up last week at the webinar as well, I think, is that Microsoft are moving towards, because apparently their big plan, long-term plan is they do want people moving onto these online apps. So they know they need to make them a lot easier to use. So I think in the next while, when I say the next while, maybe the next year or two, we're going to see improvements, hopefully.
Yeah. Keyboard access would be a good start.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right, that's brilliant. We're just going to start pushing this now. I'm getting it's 3:30.
Scary Carl.
That's exactly now. Less of your idle chit chat.
No messing now.
Right, just quickly, very, very quickly. Patsy said, thanks, Sharon, Stuart, and Carl. Good session, lots to learn. Need to go back to the replay. Blah, 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 blah. How do you spell check a document in Docs?
Oh, boom. Probably
in
F7.
Google Doc, even.
I'd say I'd have to check that, but yeah, good question.
We might pop back to that, Sunil, in another session because I think
yes, because I might do a Google Docs session.
We can go into it a bit more
yeah.
in depth and get things sorted out.
Definitely.
Michael Cassidy just put Docs can be used offline too. Brilliant session, thanks from David Ray. And that is now time for you to wrap it up, Mr. Lawler. We are done.
Okay, yeah, you see, he's the boss. He is the boss.
We're done with the questions, I meant, not that we're done. I do apologise, that came wrong.
No, it's okay. Okay, so thank you everybody for that's been a great session. Major thanks to Sharon. I think it was a phenomenal amount of information that we went through, and we didn't even get through it all, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We will come back. Thanks to Trev for your input as well, and of course, thanks to Carl, because it wouldn't work without Carl's
Excellent
help.
job, Carl.
We're back next week with another webinar. If you're on our mailing list, watch out for the email, which will go out at the end of the week. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone then. Until then, stay safe and stay well. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Stuart. As always, you are the man.
I'll send you £50 in a few minutes. Okay?